Blast off, the second step of the 9 steps to successful selling. The most important ingredient to blasting off or getting the appointment with any client is the word trust. You got to have trust in any good, successful relationship. One Sunday I was leaving church and my minister, Pastor Jeff, said, "Chuck, where are you going this week?" Because he knew I traveled a lot and speak for a living. And I said, "I'm going to San Diego." And Pastor Jeff said, "Oh, San Diego, that's a beautiful..." He said, "That's a great sailing town." And I said, "You bet." He says, "Did I ever tell you my sailing story?" And I said no, with kind of a chuckle, because Pastor Jeff doesn't look like a sailor. He's more like a truck driver, but certainly not a sailor. And he said, "Yeah." He says, "Let me tell you about my sailing story." He said, "One day, the local ladies group, flower group from the local town in Petoskey, Michigan, asked me to speak to their flower group." And I said, agreed, and said yes. And I said, "What would you like me to speak about?" And they told Pastor Jeff, "We'd like you to speak to us about sex." And he said, "Fine, it's a great subject. It's a great gift from God, obviously, when it's used in the right, proper way." And so he was excited about this challenge because as we talked, he likes to practice with smaller groups during the week, so he's a better minister on Sunday. So he was doing his research. The night before this speech to the flower group on sex, his wife came up and said, "Pastor Jeff, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm working on this speech for the flower group." And his wife said, "Well, Pastor Jeff, what's it going to be about?" And he said, "Sailing." He said, "It just kind of slipped out. I didn't want to say the sex word, so I said sailing." He said, "Before I knew it, it slipped out." And I said, "Well, what the heck? She'll never know anyway." So I just kind of let this white lie go. Well, he gave the speech the next day. As luck would have it, the president of the flower group runs into Pastor Jeff's wife a week later at the local IGA grocery store. She comes running up to Pastor Jeff's wife. She goes, "Your husband spoke to our flower group last week." And she said, "I know." She says, "Well, let me tell you, your husband was fantastic. He was phenomenal. He's an authority on the subject." And Pastor Jeff's wife went, "You're kidding." She was shocked. She goes, "You're kidding. He's only done it twice. The first time he got sick, the second time he fell off." Well, the most important ingredient in any relationship is trust. And even though there's this little white lie that Pastor Jeff told, it all came back to haunt him, of course. If I don't have total trust in any sales relationship, I can have nothing less than that, because if I do, I'm in trouble. I don't trust salespeople the way it is. That's why you and I didn't want to be a salesperson, because we thought of Herb Tarlick and white coats and all these horrible adjectives like slicky, fast-talking, greasy, and this word trust wasn't there. Now, when I try to blast off and get off the launch pad with a client, I'm really trying to get the appointment. And when I walk in the door, understand that a number of things are taking place, not just me trying to get the appointment. Understand that professional salespeople never, ever sell on the first call. Generally, unprofessional people do that. The professional salesperson says, there's a logical chain of events, and my job is to get an appointment to do a diagnosis before I give them a prescription. If I try and give any kind of prescription before diagnosis, that's called sales malpractice, and that's happening a lot today. So my job in this selling chain of events is to get an appointment to come back later to do a needs analysis or what we call business profile, okay? So obviously that's the most important part of blast off, is getting the appointment. And why do I get the appointment? Because I rarely sell on the first call. I got to find out what your needs or your wants or what your situation is before I come back with any ideas or solutions for you. However, there's other things happening too. In that first 30 seconds, I never have a second chance to make a first impression. So that first 30 seconds, I'm making a verbal, a nonverbal, all sorts of impressions. In fact, psychologists tell us that we make 7, and not only just impressions, but the client, the person that we're trying to get an appointment with, they are making 11 judgments about us in the first 7 seconds. 11, not just thoughts, but judgments, and saying, here's what I think about this person. And here are the areas they make judgments in. Is this person clean? Is this person attractive? Is this person credible? Are they responsive? Are they friendly? Are they knowledgeable? Are they helpful? Are they empathetic? Are they courteous? Are they confident? Are they professional? All 11 of those points, they make a decision right then and there. Either you got it or you don't. Either I like you or I don't. And it's hard to make any way. Once they make that judgment, it's hard to change it. And that's kind of your starting point. So that all-important first 30 seconds is you creating the relationship and them making judgments about you. So what you do and how you do it is so critical in this first meeting, in this, especially the first 30 seconds. And that's why it's not just getting the appointment, it's really positioning you in terms of a relationship with that prospective client for a long run. Remember, the average retailer business person has over 50 hockey pucks a week calling on them, asking them to buy something. What's going to make you different? What's going to make you stand out? Well, being aware of that 7-Eleven rule is very important. Again, in 7 seconds, I'm making 11 judgments, or the client's making those judgments on you. Are you doing the right things? Are you presenting yourself in a professional manner, and all the things that we just discussed? Now, even beyond that, I'm trying to say, look, I'm a lot different than the other people that are coming through your door, because I have knowledge, I have skills, I have a lot of things I can bring to the table to help make your business successful. Now, I use a term called frequency rules, okay? And yeah, it rules, meaning that frequency, you need it in a lot of different cases. I need frequency to get my message across. I need frequency to convince people in good advertising. But where frequency comes to play in blasting off or getting the appointment is that the average client, the suspect now or prospect that you've determined to be a prospect, you should call on that person at least 5 times. So if I'm looking for a frequency rule, I call on that person 5 times before I decide this person's, I'm going to stick it out or I'm going to give up. Why? Because the average salesperson gives up on the 3rd or 4th call. The average customer says yes 50% of the time or more on the 5th call. So most salespeople quit 1 or 2 calls short of when the client's going to say yay or nay. Most of the time it's before they say yes. So make 5 calls before you determine this person's worth your time or not, even if they're a qualified prospect. Again, a good frequency rule is if you've got nothing but time on your hands and you're in your first year of sales, I'd make 10 of these getting the appointment calls a day. 10 suspect getting the appointment calls every day. You got nothing but time, and you know you got to go through 10 turkeys probably to get 1 or 2 good ones. So frequency applies in a number of ways before you give up a client, and the number of calls you can make in just the average day.